Welcome back to War Thunder and welcome aboard the Typhoon Mark 1B late, the tech tree version. Here in realistic battles, and before we go into the gameplay that I actually want to show you, I have to say this is a weird video and I'm not really sure where my commentary is going. And why is that? Well, there are two sides. There are two sides about the Typhoon Mark 1B late. First of all, it is, in my opinion, significantly better than the Typhoon Mark 1B, which has the same battle rating but is the premium version. It's the handling that is improved. The instructor interference is much lower and still outrageously crippling. The Typhoon Mark 1B late, to talk about the plane a bit more precisely, is a fighter, strike fighter in the British tech tree with a battle rating of 4.3 at rank 3. And it is the first Typhoon with cannons. You have 4 Hispano Mark II cannons with 560 rounds in total, and they are wing mounted, giving this plane its unique, very, very aggressive look. And I love this about the Typhoon. Its look is amazing. But yeah, how does this transform or transfer into battle? Actually, not too good. There are numerous problems on this plane that are just so frustrating. Now let's have a look at how I attacked this PE-8. He was the last player on the enemy team, so I had no choice but to attack him, and I have still a little bit of ammunition, and I come into a very, very sharp boom and zoom attack with over 750 kilometers an hour wing. Wow. You might think this is a very unique experience. No. I think I have a lot of frustrating experiences with the Typhoon. Most of them are coupled with the PE-8. The PE-8 is just sky cancer. It's a heavy bomber, 4-engined Russian bomber, and of course on top it has 20mm defensive gunners, and they just tear your plane apart. But ultimately you can't take them down effectively either. They are just too tanky, too easy to make work. They are a noob's favorite bomber, I guess. And look at the handling of the Typhoon, how it wobbles around. This is the first problem. When this plane takes damage in the wings, the performance goes absolutely into the trash. And ultimately, something like this happens. So, we are here in the next battle again against the Russians, and this is a very unique team because it mostly consists of Typhoons. Most of the time you face your enemy team in conjunction with a lot of Spitfires, and that is a good thing and a bad thing. Again, I'm not here directly ranting about this plane rather than its meta. Look at the beautifulness of this game. Even after playing it for years, I can't stop looking at it. But I digress. Let's talk about the actual battles. Well, to be honest, you don't have the best kind of meta or environment for this plane. Why is that? Well, again, you mostly fly with allied teams, except in mixed battles. That means when you fly with the Americans, they just outright refuse to climb, which is a problem because then they get slaughtered relatively quickly while doing rather useless ground striking. Then you are outnumbered, and then the rest of your team consists of Spitfires and some bombers. The bombers also get shot down. The Spitfires will mostly fall in head-ons because they forget to turn, and then you are alone. Meanwhile, you side climb, pumped a lot of energy into your plane, and the Typhoon has a mighty engine indeed. Let me just look it up in the hangar. The Typhoon Mark 1B late has a Napier Sabre 2 24-cylinder inline engine, which is water cooled and has a maximum power output of 1995 horsepower, so nearly 2000 horsepower, with the takeoff power being nearly 2200 horsepower. This is a very strong engine indeed, although the plane itself is rather heavy. Now, what are the big differences to the Typhoon Mark 1B, the premium version? Well, it's a little bit in the ground striking potential. That is the most obvious kind of difference. And we have here the option of several bomb layouts, with the biggest being 2 1,000-pound bombs or 8 RP3 rockets. Especially when you mount the RP3 rockets, you have this insane look, this insane powerful look. And I love this about the Typhoon. I really, really, really love the look of the Typhoon. All the more disappointing is its performance. And also it's kind of disappointing to always end up on this map. I just despise this map. It doesn't matter with which plane I fly this map, I don't like it. Except with Russian bombers, because easy mode. Okay. So, what about the performance of the Typhoon? Well, it has a decent climb rate, although you have to be careful not to overheat your engine. But the overheating is kind of controllable with manual engine control, or just going off the web. And you also have quite a decent high altitude performance when you talk about up to 6,000-7,000 meters. Above this I did not really test it, because you rarely see fights at this altitude, and if a fight begins at this altitude, it quickly descends to much lower altitudes. Let's face it, War Thunder is more, taking part at below 4,000 meters. So, then what about the turning capabilities, the boom and zoom characteristics, and so on? Well, that is where the controversy starts, because overall this plane is pretty good. I flew over 750 kilometers an hour in steep boom and zoom dives, as you could see in the beginning, and I did not redline, and I never ripped my wings, even in sharp turns at higher speeds where this plane actually can turn relatively sharply. It's not a Spitfire, don't get me wrong, but it outclasses Focke-Wulfs by a country mile. And in fact, to make here a quick statement, when I talk about certain Japanese planes, for example the J2 M5 Raiden or the Kia 87, I designate them as being better Focke-Wulfs, because they can do literally everything better, except in parts where it doesn't matter. The Typhoon Mark 1B Late is kind of a different version of the Focke-Wulf, and in short, it trades roll rate for maneuverability. In most cases, this is a good thing, but sometimes it's also a bad thing. And overall, there is a lot of interference with the instructor in certain situations, and the frustrating part comes here when we talk about the last aim correction. So, for example, you're going to head-on, or you're going to boom and zoom dive, and you know where the enemy will be. You point your mouse there, but the plane doesn't follow. Even with pre-rolling, it's just very hard to make the plane go where we exactly want it to go, and to pull off precise shots is what you really want to do. And still, I think it's much better than the Focke-Wulf, because it can reliably turn. And it's also faster at a lower battle rating. I mean, what's at the same battle rating? Well, there is the Focke-Wulf A4, which is a decent plane, but ultimately still falls to the part where it absolutely has no elevator authority. And you can see at high altitudes, or let's talk about 4.5 kilometers where I'm currently at, I actually spark a lot on LA5s, but ultimately I can pull away from Yak 9s. And this is the common theme. You can run with this plane, which is a redeeming factor that I can't really tell you enough about. You can run. You can run away and disengage if you make it, properly. Unlike the Focke-Wulf, which, you can't kill the enemy in the first pass, he turns around, catches you, kills you. This is the common theme with Focke-Wulfs. Yeah, ultimately you can try to run, but at the end of the day you end up at low altitude, and that's kind of frustrating. So, I zoom through without too much turning, and you can see now where I see that he is going for the P-47, I turn around, and I can turn around. The flaps certainly help, and this is a nice feature. It's more a long-range boom and zoomer, to be honest, and I should try around to work a little bit with longer gun conversions, maybe around 500-600 meters. On the other hand, then I'm not really used to the guns, but that's a problem that I have to work around. That's not the problem of the plane. The characteristics of the plane should dictate the playstyle, and I try to adapt. And also I try out things. And here we can see how the plane turns nicely even at lower speeds. Must have to do with the big wing surface, and another hit on the LA5 without any real kind of effect. And you could see I tried to correct my aim, but the plane was just simply saying no. And I'm quite sure that I missed the LA5 just by a few centimeters. And now I am in a disadvantage where I don't want to be, and I run. The LA5 ultimately turns around. If I would be in this exact situation with a Focke-Wulf, I would be already dead, except if I go into a very aggressive, very sharp dive. Partially I begin here some diving with the Typhoon as well, but ultimately I make some very minor evasive actions to throw off some speculative shots on his part. God, the game looks good. But you can see I zoom away. Yes, he has given up the chase because he knows that ultimately I'm faster. And now I can hold that speed, unlike a Focke-Wulf which just loses speed left, right and center, but yeah, whatever. And then I can disengage. I can always keep my altitude and pump energy back in and re-engage. And that is something that I like. The really frustrating part is then that I can't shoot down the enemy. So overall the handling is actually not too bad, but sometimes the extremely bad roll rate in certain situations really hurts you a lot. Especially the last M corrections here on this Yak 9P, you could see I tried, but the plane wobbled around, and in this respect you have Focke-Wulf problems, let's face it. So I re-engage the LA5, go into a head-on, and again I miss because the plane wobbles around. I just can't get over it. This last second adjustment, it's just not really my thing. And then he rolls over head-on, and at some point you just have to kill the enemy, right? If you throw enough bullets into the air, one of them might kill the enemy. Yeah, but I wasted a lot of ammunition in this engagement. So meanwhile the Yak 9 and the F6F have descended to ground level. I tried to help out the F6F, but it's the F6F5, so I guess it's the one with the 20mm cannons, if it is the N version, I'm not quite sure. And he deleted the Yak 9P. In this respect, if you fly the F6F right, especially the 5N version, you have a real maneuverability. You're not a Spitfire, but you can surprise your enemy, and that is something nice. But okay, at this moment I'm really frustrated because I had some really disappointing battles before that, and it was always against the Russians and so on, so I let off some steam in chat. Yeah, not my finest hour, but again, this is a showcase that I'm not the only one out there having this kind of frustrating experiences. I'm an experienced pilot. That does not mean that I'm the world's greatest pilot. Sometimes the experience is just, now I will die and I can't do anything about it. Or, oh great, now I know how the battle will end because we have to chase the last bomber for like half an hour, you know, which is very frustrating. In this respect, Gaijin has to rework how RRB battles work. It's nice that you have 1 hour time left, but it's always 1 hour that gives some douchebags time to just climb in a bomber while dropping bombs, or in a fighter and then ultimately crash because they run out of fuel, which happened to me more than once. So you can see how nice this plane flies in a straight line, how fast it is, and again how the overheat mechanic work. It's always the oil. I mean, yes, you can control it, but ultimately, you know, you can't web for days, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing for the enemy team, and it's also a bit realistic, but, you know, it's just kind of crippling a little bit your redeeming factor, which is the speed. But it's not very critical at the same time. But it's a lot of micromanagement. The next thing are the flaps, and the flaps on the Typhoon are great. They do really do the job, especially in tight turns. You can really make the turn tighter with those, and also landing with the landing flaps is highly effective. And you can see how fast I slow down, if that's a thing, even in this rather sharp angle. So up until this point, not too much happened. Got a few kill assists, and up until this point, 1 kill. And now there is my auto squad mate in a Typhoon Mach 1B late, and we kind of land simultaneously, and I turn around to come to a quicker stop. Funnily enough, I got here the repair symbol that you also get in tanks when you have a teammate, but I try to help him, but the R key doesn't work. No key works in this respect. It gets displayed, but it doesn't work. I mean, it's a shame, but it's not really crippling, you know. It's just a funny thing to know. So we start simultaneously, and here we go. And at this point, there is just, I guess, 1 Yak 9 left. And he currently duels 3 guys. Let's see who wins. Oh, there is another one left, but not for long, I guess. So we have a Halifax high up in the air, which is kind of useless, a B-25, an F-6F, and a P-63. They should work this out, right? Well, the problem is that they are always around the airfield, and it's a common theme. I don't know which feature of the map design is it, that at the end of the day, the match ends around about the Russian airfields. So I tried to fly here in tight formations just for some cinematic footage, and it was around about this time that I just thought to myself, okay, just forget about the earlier games. Get your mind clear, just do your best, try your best, be Fubuki, and okay, I guess not everybody got this joke. Never mind then. Yeah, I just enjoy the cockpit view. I love the engine sound, the look of the plane as I mentioned, and also the aiming reticle, which is very minimalistic. The only plane that has a better aiming reticle is kind of the Kika with a stick, because reasons, but I digress. So again, you can see this weird mixture of good stats and bad stats, good performance, bad performance. Ultimately, you also have the problem of fighting on an allied team against Germans and Russians. Funnily enough, dealing with Germans is a piece of cake. The problem is, in the roundabout 20 battles that I played with this and the premium version, I fought the Germans once. I fought the Japanese twice, which you can guess is not a pleasant pleasant experience, I'm sorry. But then the rest were matches on this map against the Russians, just P8s. P8s all the way, and I can't stand this. If you have the same opponent that is so easy mode, and you just have to work hard around it, try your best, and ultimately still fail. That's just frustrating. And this might be the common theme, the frustration. I remember this plane in a very good way from my early arcade experiences. 420 Hispanos. Sparks were not a thing. You just obliterated the enemy. You turned with them, and you could disengage even in arcade. Now, ultimately, Gaijin has ruined Air AB for me, with that they are absolutely not interested in, you know, kind of fixing the issues that there are. And so I switched to realistic battles like 1.5 years ago, something like that, completely, okay? Just for certain events, I just jump into my bombers and, you know, win the game for our team with high battle activities, because this is how War Thunder works, right? But I digress. Let's go back to the battle. Now we are currently flying near the enemy Russian airfield, and we see the Yak-9 just blazing away on this poor B-25 after he has killed 2 fighters in quick succession. And so we actually try to double team this. Now there are 2 ways how to double team an enemy. You come from different sides, or you go in one after the other. The idea is that you just fly in with one plane, the enemy makes evasive actions, and most of the time, by default, sets himself up for a nice, clean, quick kill by the second plane. Meanwhile, even if he survives both, the one can turn around meanwhile, even against the most maneuverable aircraft. Teamwork is the key to success in War Thunder. I think it's not promoted enough by anybody, and that is because it's actually rather challenging to do proper teamwork, and somebody has to be the boss, the leader that gives the commands, and the other ones have to follow these orders. And players in War Thunder, like in so many other online games, are not used to take orders, you know. So, and look at the speed, over 750 kilometers an hour. Still nice handling on the elevator, but the rudder is completely gone at this point. And yeah, I'm slowing down a little bit. The Yak-9 makes drastic evasive actions. I still can't hit him because I can't hit him properly, but then he turns himself into my gunfire, and that is a nice kill with a really, really nice flat spin. And that was such a beautiful kill. Was it worth the like 10 battles before that where it was absolutely frustrating? Kind of, yes. And you see, I make the smoke roll, and I just had a good time in this one attack roll because it worked out. We put effort into it and we got rewarded for this. Speaking of rewards, let's have a quick look at the post-battle results after AAA fails to kill me. Bad AAA. I hate you. So, final blow, 2 kills. And yeah, some nice medals. Let's have a quick look at the post-battle results, and we can see for our 2 kills we got 39,000 silver lines and 3,278 score points. And I also was 3rd in team with just around about 1,292 score points. So that's it for me today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the video and the commentary. Let me know in the comment section your thoughts on the Typhoon and the current meta of RP battles. And yeah, well, give this video a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we will see each other in the skies of War Thunder.